Hey there, everybody, and welcome to OpenCV Live. It's me, it's P-H-I-L-L-I-P. I'm your co-host with the co-most, the second banana who's second to none. I'm also your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson, if you're nasty, but you, my dear friends, on this here show can call me Phil. And I'm happy this week to welcome our special guest, Sudhir Sornapudi, a Ph.D. He works for an outfit called Corteva Agriscience. We're going to explore how computer vision and artificial intelligence are revolutionizing agriculture research and development by enabling precise, data-driven solutions and addressing global challenges. We hope you'll stick around and learn about the state of the art for agricultural technology. But first, I'm here to remind you of a few things we do on every single episode of this here program that you're currently watching, the first of which is a giveaway to you out there in the audience. Stay tuned. Later on in the episode, I will ask a trivia question based on the presentation from our illustrious guest, Sudhir. And the very first person to answer that question correctly will win the OpenCV University course of their choosing. You can see what courses are on offer going to opencv.org/university. And of course, Black Friday sales are coming up pretty soon. So on OpenCVU is no exception. Next week we'll be launching our big Black Friday sales, I believe. So take a look, opencv.org/university. And before we get started here on the show, I just want to do a quick shout out and endless amounts of thank you to our dear members and partners. OpenCV is a nonprofit organization that puts out open source software, and as such, we depend on the support of these members and partners. Big thanks to ARM, RunPod, Intrinsic, FutureWay Technologies, JetBrains, RoboFlow, Hackster, Seventh Sense, Google Summer of Code, OpenMV, Orbic, the British Machine Vision Association, Tangram Vision, Amped Software, Intuitivo, Rerun, the Edge AI and Vision Alliance, and Big Vision, because every company needs a big vision. Having said that, I think we can get started a little bit here with our guest, Sudhir. Sudhir, welcome to the show. I'm going to go ahead and hide my screen share. Sudhir, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here. We're also taking questions from the audience here today, so please drop those questions in the chat wherever you're watching, or use the Q&A button on Zoom. I'll be monitoring those and bring the best ones up on screen. As an example, here is one of our friends from Kenya checking in. Your question will pop up on the screen just like this, and we'll answer them a little bit later. But Sudhir, welcome. Take it away. It's your show.
Oh, thank you very much, Phil. Thanks for having me on this platform. And I should mention this before. It's the first time I was introduced to computer vision. I actually used Python and C++, and the first go-to package was OpenCV. So this is a special moment for me.
Yeah, thank you. And we're happy to help. I think that story a lot of people could tell, and it warms our hearts every time we hear it. So welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and bring your screen share up on screen here as well.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
Even though the slides are looking good.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are joining from. I am Sudhir Sornapudi, and today I'm going to discuss how computer vision is driving science behind agricultural advancements.
Right on.
Before we dive in, a brief intro about myself. I'm a principal investigator / senior data scientist, and I also lead advanced vision intelligence team at Corteva. I have done my Ph.D. in computer engineering, which research focused on biomedical imaging. So it was on automated diagnosis using histopathological images on cervical cancer.
Wow.
And I actually collaborated with NIH with this research, and have done research fellow and internships with companies like Millie, Four Sigma, and Zyken during the PhD time. And some of my passion is building AI and making real world agricultural impact. And I also really like the space I am in, especially the life sciences, because I started with biomedical and then now I'm doing with agriculture. The best part about this is actually collaborating and partnering with non-technical folks who are like subject matter experts in their fields, and then communicating what technology has to offer, and then making sure we are making an impact with the AI that we have right now. A bit more about outside work. I like performing resistance training. That's my hobby, and I do a bit of biking and enjoy traveling. That being said, this is the agenda that I have today. Again, my motivation here is to create an awareness to the audience and everyone that we do use computer vision, and it has a lot of impact for agriculture. And how is this impact? How is this computer vision impacting ag? Is what I'm going to describe. From my view, I'm more from corporate, from Corteva Agriscience as a company. So that's the view I'll be putting out. And finally, I'll be having some takeaways with this. Starting with challenges. No, let me start with evolution of agriculture. So if you see, I mean, as civilization has started, we all started agriculture, right? We need food to feed, and if you have seen this graph before, the early on agriculture was more of manual labor, and then this 2.0 that came in, it was more of that industrial revolution phase. So it was more machinery, so that you could harvest more, or uh, and I mean grow more plants and get more food. And then came 3.0, which is green revolution. So that is where it's kind of mid 20th century that dramatically increased crop yields through use of high yield varieties and use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides that really pushed up the yields. And right now, pretty much like end of 20th century, we are in the age of digital revolution with all the AI technology and the automation that's happening around and the integration. And that's the curve you see here. The graph is like how much yield has grown up as we have gone through these revolutions. And to start, we as humans, we actually need fuel to power our engines. And our fuel is food, which comes from farm. And we need to get that food from the farm to the table. And we all know, as we grow, right, we have observed that the agricultural lands are declining day by day. This raises the concern of food security problem. There are also additional pressures from global warming and management limited resources with stringent regulations. So that's again a fun fact that whatever the products you see, especially from agriculture, are actually the products that were discovered like 16 years ago for biotic traits, or 12 years ago for crop production. So that is when it was actually discovered, and it goes through a lot of filtering and the funnel process, and then the ultimate hit is the product that you see on the farming land right now. But this is actually an awakening call and an opportunity to farm better. Again, the need for solving the global challenges is real, because we need to feed growing population and also adapt to the climate changes that are happening around. And there's also need for transitioning to more renewable sources of energies. And these might look challenges, but these are actually, they can act like catalysts for agricultural progress. So this is so we are heading towards in a good way. Now I'd like to introduce about Corteva Agriscience, what we do, before we dive into that tech talk. So why we do what we do is our work at Corteva is driven by our purpose to enrich the lives of producers as well as consumers. This actually requires incredible amount of innovation, and we are not just farming company, we are a science and technology company at our core. Again, a snapshot. Uh, so accelerating this agricultural innovation is happening, and we are actually investing almost like $4 million every day in R&D. We have almost 5,000 R&D employees across the globe, and we launch almost 400 plus products every year. And this technology is backed by more than 7,000 patents, additional patents. And you might be wondering, how does Corteva make money? So this is how it does. It's through the product portfolio. It spans across two key areas. So in the agriculture, one is seeds and the other one is crop health. So these products actually enable the resistance to environmental, insect, and disease stress, ultimately producing higher yields. This also ensures growing progress and success for generations to come. uh, I don't know you about you guys, but I actually got aware when I started gardening myself. So once I started gardening, I could see all the small issues. There is infestation happening. There was some kind of a disease that the plant used to have, or even if you have backyard, you need to grow. If you have backyard grass, you know how the weeds pop up. So you need to make sure they are sprayed well enough to keep them healthy, and at the same time you have good yield. And that's when I realized the importance of what we do at Corteva. Again, this is Corteva has a long and deep, rich history of innovation. We have been working decades to provide these innovative solutions. And actually, if you have seen, 1920 to 50 was actually the revolution, agricultural revolution 2.0. This is 3.0, and then onward, we are in 4.0 right now. And currently, we are accelerating the gene editing and the crop production products in a natural way. So we are focusing more on biologicals, so that it's not use of synthetic chemicals, but use of more of the biomes that are coming from the nature. And as you can see, got the DuPont, Dow, and Pioneer. These are the actual parent companies that merged together and was rebranded in 2019 as Corteva Agriscience. So that's one of the reasons why many people haven't heard of Corteva, but it was rebranded and renamed as Corteva in 2019. Uh, but actually, the deep culture, the history dates back to 1802. That's when DuPont uh, was founded. Again, going towards AI, we leverage AI to accelerate R&D. And as you can see, these are our data science wings. We have remote sensing. We have teams working on remote sensing and computer vision. We have systems optimization team. We also focus heavily on genome and molecular data science, and also perform statistical modeling on top of them with advanced AI approaches. And also, we focus heavily on geospatial, environmental, and agronomic data sciences. Again, this is by no means completely data science work alone. It's the value and partnership driven, where we start with the end in mind, and it's like engaging very early on with the subject matter experts and domain experts in various fields like breeders, biologists, chemists. And on the tech side, if you see, we also work very closely with ML engineers, data engineers, software engineers to make this happen. And this is our core functionality. So earlier you have seen we have two branches, seeds and crop production, but the AI component of it is actually centralized, and it's at the company we have a department called Field Solution FSND. So what we do here is actually take the on-farming data and feed back to R&D and create these better products. So that products that you see here, uh, and actually my most of my work sits around this R&D work. And then what we do is we have teams that actually leverage whatever the R&D output that came out from the data, and add it to the on-farm data, and then look for how to position these products and make value out of it. So that's a cycle that happens, and we rely on various components. Now, diving into vision for ag. I really like this image from one of the previous literatures, and I call this ag data hyperspace. So if you see, agriculture is actually a multi-dimensional hypercube, right? You have spatial dimension, you have temporal because plants grow. Uh, it's actually we do research at a cellular, very like cellular level, and then you mutate them, and then you make some gene edited and it edits, make a seed, you sow the seed, and then let the plant grow, and then do a lot of phenotyping analysis, not just at a plant level, you also observe at a plot level, the complete agricultural land level, so field level. So the scale is huge, and again, the same time, the plant. This is a temporal information too, right? Because the plant keeps growing and it keeps looking different and different. At the same time, you have spectral dimensionality to it. It's not just visual range for for computer vision, right? We don't just use RGB here. We also have hyperspectral imaging. So the data coming from different spectra also give more information. And actually, the sensors are the one that make it possible. To put it into one slide, it's a scale, and the scale is cell to space. So that this is what really excites me being part of an agricultural company, is because you get to work on very diverse set of data. So it starts from like we work on micro scale with microscopic images at cellular level, and then we have images taken at lab at small plate based assays, and then we do work on greenhouse plant based images, plantlets, small samples, or grown plants, and even coming to field, right, with proximal imaging, and then fly drones capture the plots, and also use satellite imagery to understand how the field is looking from above. And actually, these sensors are the critical enablers of data. Uh, and as we all know, the advent of AI is actually empowered by data, and the sensors enable the data from nature. So capture of data from the nature is enabled by these sensors, and these are all the various types of sensors that we use day to day to capture the data. Now let's deep dive into the vision intelligence in action. As I have mentioned, the scale cell to space, I would like to describe it or go through the same kind of a structure. So let me start with a nanometer level. So we can visualize proteins in action with something called electron microscopes. So cryo EM, I was actually fortunate to see this at our Indy campus, where we do imaging of these cells and understand how protein functions within a cell. So that is actually a discovery question. It will be groundbreaking if someone understands how is a protein actually functioning inside a cell. But this also helps us to understand or create structural analysis, right? And create those 3D structures. And from computer vision perspective, this is what excites me, that the data that was collected with EM imaging, and I feel vision actually can help us understand how is the protein or DNA is working inside that cell. Again, I would like to thank Demis Hassabis and DeepMind team, right? Because they're the ones who have invented AlphaFold and open sourced it to the world, and that paved a way to predict millions of 3D protein structures just from the amino acid sequences. And this is completely different world that we are living in because of them. Now moving on to more of micrometer level uh, from proteins. So this is at a cellular level. We have done risk assessment with cell painting, where we take, this is more of regulatory purposes. When you have some chemicals, right, you want to understand how these chemicals, uh, how toxic are these chemicals at a cellular level. So that's what the studies we try to conduct with cell painting and observe it under a microscope and do computer vision analysis at a latent space, at a different uh, multidimensional space, and then categorize them into based on their mode of actions. Same thing goes with the microspore. This is more of bright field imaging, the traditional imaging approach with microscopy, where we are kind of determining the viability of a microspore by observing it under a microscope. Now we are moving on to lab imaging. These are some of the projects we have worked on, which is like insect-based assay estimation, where we're also determining the mortality of the insect. So we feed in protein in a diet and then let the insect chew on the diet, and we want to observe how the insect survives, or if it's stunted, or if it dies out of it, so that we can create that ideal protein and the hybrid seed that can help when the plant grows, the insect doesn't get an appetite to feed on the plant. So that's what we are aiming for. And again, with leaf damage estimation, where you can see we let the insects chew on the leaf tissue, and again we are observing with protein fused into these leaves. We are trying to understand how the insect is eating the leaf. Ultimately, what we want ideally is the insect is there, but it doesn't should not have that appetite to eat the leaf tissue, because the protein inside that leaf is actually preventing them to eat that. And back to the colony counting. So we conduct various experiments to do colony counts. And this is one of the no code approach, where you have imaged a leaf, and then we haven't done any coding, but making use of the shortcuts app from the iPhone, right? It has so much of power to it. Whenever you click on the foreground of an object, it highlights the outer structure of an object. That's kind of a segmentation that you have inherently on your phone, the mobiles that you're using. And I really like that iPhone has created something called shortcuts app, which is very powerful. If you can actually create a pipeline out of that, you can actually just grab that segmentation just with one click. This other one is a kernel counting, which is more of a density uh, density-based regression model for counting the number of kernels on a corn pod. And this is more of proximal imaging, where you see here, I think this is canola. Uh, they are just coming out, and then we have plot fold capturing an image, but what we are trying to do here is counting number of plants on the field. And again, these are all like herbicide sprayed, and then we want to understand how much of the seed is sown, and then how many plants are coming out of it. And this is some of the videos on object detection, how we do object detection of these tassels and of husks and insect detection. Here you can see some canola pods on the ground, and we are detecting them, and this is patented work. And this is again weed segmentation, weed identification, right? So you want to always differentiate your weed from your crops, and this is very complex because there are many number of weed species. And what we aim to do is we want to create one core model that can handle those weed species. So imagine there are like 14 weed species, and these are the species. As they grow, they keep looking different. So we should understand the time series of it, how they grow, and then what shapes do they have as they grow, and differentiate from the main crop. so that we can target those weeds for our purposes, experimental purposes. And this is one other video where you're looking for the silk and tassels, and we are also understanding if it's staging or not, and with a fisheye camera lens on the robot. Uh, right. And as I mentioned earlier, we also work with hyperspectral images, right? The good part with hyperspectral imaging is it can help you uh, do early phenotype detection. So it actually sees beyond what humans can see with a naked eye. If there is some stress that the plant is going under, there is something happening. There is something starts inside, right? As humans, if you develop fever, something starts inside you before you show up on your face. Same way, plants, if there is some stress with drought or any environmental factors, it could be anything, or insect pressure or disease, it all starts from inside. And then the looking at the spectrum actually helps to look inside and then make right decisions much before uh, than being it late, and once the plant is completely affected. And the other one is lidar, which kind of enables us to make very precise phenotypic measurements like plant height, canopy structure, biomass. So this is one of the video that you're seeing here, is that lidar sparse cloud.
Very cool.
And this is actually a top view of this, which looks pretty cool. Okay, so again, remote sensing. Um, this is of airborne, where we are flying drones. And this is an example, like a video that you see here is we have created something called Boreas machine, which creates like artificial winds, right? One of the other issues that we have is whenever there is a big tornado or storms, there's big winds that blow and then uh, push these plants to one side. So we want to know how much lodging has happened. And this is a model that was built internally to understand, to give a percentage of lodging. Again, I'm just picking up one of these projects. I can't really get all the projects in single slide, and also there are some IP issues, so I need to I'm only covering some projects which are allowed to be covered externally, but there is a lot of exciting works that we are doing than what I'm presenting here.
Those
Uh,
darn non-disclosure agreements, you know.
exactly. That's part of working with corporate, right? So I should abide by them. And this is remote sensing. So this is more of spaceborne, right? We also observe data from the space, and we also integrate that space with the geospatial information like weather data, soil data, and field boundary, along with satellite. You can also fly drones. So with space, I think you can right now get like 30-meter to 10-meter resolution of your fields. But again, sometimes there is a cloud cover, and then there are which blocks your view from the space. So there are limitations, and then we need to build models how to recreate those masked regions with the cloud. But ultimately, what you are seeing here is we use all of this information, kind fuse it to give G by E by M insights. So which is pretty much genotype and the environment, and then what are the management practices that need to be done. So this is very powerful uh, for the farmer to provide insights on their farmland. This is some of the work we have done early on self-supervised. Uh, so self-supervised lending for agriculture. Uh, with that, what we found out was with self-supervised background, you can actually do a lot, right? These are all the applications. Like you can enhance data efficiency, you can detect outliers, you can do uh, image retrieval, so image-based search and image reconstruction, video analysis, and it also helps in faster model convergence. and transfer learning. So this is an image, like a UI model that we have created to showcase that. So you basically upload an image, and then it brings up all the related images, similar images from your database. So it's image similarity search tool. And this is how it was built, that similarity search tool in the backend. And then this is, I think, like a U map that you're observing on a 3D space of these points. So this model is actually trained without any ground truth annotations, right? This is a contrastive learning based approach. And we can also, when we overlay, colorize those data points with the ground truths, we can actually see some clusterings happening. That's a good indicator that the model is learned and we have very good groupings of them. And we also conducted video analysis. So the one you saw, the video where the robot was capturing the fisheye lens across the field, so we could actually separate these photo frames from the video as alleys and rows with this model. And very recent work that we have presented at CVPR this year was creating a vision-based foundation model and adapting it with a few shot learning. So this is actually a grounding dyno model. And what we have done is we removed the BERT text encoder model. So usually grounding dyno, you feed in an image, you also describe an image, and then feed both of that information, and then grounding dyno can give you bounding boxes of that information. Say if you're feeding like a proximal image, right, where you have crop and weed, and you're saying your text here is like crop, feed, separate them into two classes. What happens is this grounding dyno is pretty much trained on internet-based images. So it really works well on cats, dogs, all the buildings, architecture, and all the internet-based images. But when it comes to domain-specific images, it does not do pretty good. So the solution that we came up with is we removed the encoder, the text encoder block, the BERT block, and randomly initialized. So this is pretty much like a noise vector that we feed in place of the BERT encoded text embedding. So this is like a text embedding now, randomly initialized. And we freeze the entire model. We only use backpropagation and make this text embeddings learnable. So this is what ultimately the model is trying to learn. Imagine these are like model weights, and the model is trying to learn it. So once you know for this task, what is this model, what are these weights, or the vector that you have, you just feed in that vector the next time during inference, and you feed in a new image with that particular model, and then you get much more better results than using grounding dyno as is. So it's few shot because when training, we don't need much of images. We pretty much need like 4 or 8 images hardly with annotated images to train this model to get this to get this learnable embeddings. And finally, you have very powerful model. And this could be cross applied. It's not just for agriculture that you can use. You can also use for other domains like medical. Again, we are actually heading towards more of general intelligence, right? If you see, earlier it used to be more task specific models. We used to have models specific to image classification or object detection, segmentation. But now, as we move towards general intelligence, we are building a single model which is more of task agnostic. And LLM has language, I mean, NLP has proved to be very helpful to fast forward where we are right now, especially this self-supervised learning that happened. It started with NLP, and then we adapted it to computer vision. Same thing. LLM was groundbreaking because we use all these LLM tools right now to interact with. And now that kind of encouraged us to move on to large vision models so that we can not just feed in text based images, but also image based data, and now it has better understanding of spatial information too. And now with multimodal LLMs, you can also, feed in audio signals, videos. It's not just one input; you can do multiple at a time. So this is a entirely different world that we are right now, and I'm really excited for the future that's coming in. And I want to give a big shout out for Qwen 3 vision language model. If you haven't tried it, in being in computer vision space, you should definitely try it. Uh, I really like the fact that they made it open source, because again, I have a huge respect to the platform builders who make the models open source, and that serves us a lot. And the specialty with Qwen is like you have very high parameter models, and then you have very small active parameters which can help you infer very quickly on a bigger model. Few more things. We also use generative AI for reading OCR, doing OCR, and then draft regulatory documents. And this kind of helped us to create 100x faster non-technical regulatory documents. Regulatory, it's like multi-language, and then it's very tiring process to go through these documents. But the use of LLMs has actually changed the landscape. And this is the chat bot that we have inside Corteva. This is for the LLM for sales agents, so they can always go to this Carl chat and ask for. So this agent can help you uh, ask any questions. You can prompt it, and it can give you based on the agricultural information, and it has good knowledge of all the Corteva based products and gives you suggestions based on that. Now, since I talked a lot about model development, and I just want to put a placeholder on and emphasize that deployment actually matters. It's not just model development. It is crucial, but actually the value is unlocked once you deploy it. So know your end users and make sure you build end-to-end pipelines to serve those end users. And I really like the tools like VS Code, right? GitHub Copilot. These coding agents are actually helping us to build very quick POC like UIs. So once you build a model, you want the stakeholders or your end users to test it. Tools like this, my job is to build models, but not to build APIs or applications. But a coding agents are really helping us to quickly build those UIs and then serve it to the end users. And I definitely recommend everyone, once you build a model, don't just leave it, but create a UI so that it's more in a useful manner. And again, adopt deployment first mindset. So you should always have in mind where you're deploying your model. Is it on edge? Is it on cloud? And how much data are you processing? Is it video data or image data? Based on those constraints, you then think of what model do you need to train. You can't train a very large model and fit it on an edge device. So that is very important. And again, for data processing, data quality is very important over quantity. It's not how much data you have collected, it's how good data you have collected. Because all of these models that are there right now are data driven. And finally, key takeaways from the presentations. Uh, these tools that you have are your best friends in this space. So make sure you understand how to use these tools for data collection, data annotation, and model development, deployment. Uh, Again, an example that I can give you is the label genie model that we presented, right? Uh, at the CVPR, the grounding dyno model adapted to FewShot. What I have done is I created like a UI pipeline, which actually is used by the labelers in house at Corteva. So what they do is they just annotate 4 or 5 images and give it to the model and quickly train the model. It trains within like 20 minutes on an L4 GPU. If you have very good GPU like A100, it'll train within one couple of minutes. So once the model is trained, you can quickly infer on thousands of images now. And you might not be getting the high quality output, but it's almost like 85%, 90% job done for the annotators. So they can go back and then quickly QC and make changes. So this is all possible because of the tools that are there. Uh, and again, shout out to GitHub Copilot, Cursor, Claude, the coding tools that are really called increasing the efficiency of the work that we are trying to do. One more important thing is maintain standards as you work. So this is a life cycle that I'm showing you, right? Like data is acquired with multiple sensors, and then data is stored in S3 or whatever the storage location that you have. Then we have a lot of tools. One of the tool that we use internally is Supervisedly for annotation, image annotations. That's where even that label genie model that I talked about, that UI is integrated to pull data from that annotation tool and then push it back to annotation tool to make it seamless. And again, we use all the ML model development platforms, right? ML Flow is very powerful for tracking experiments. We do use them, and also save model weights and artifact as artifacts and model logs as an artifact. And also it makes our life easy to make compare models, one model run against another model run. And then finally deploy with Argo, Kubernetes, Docker, and creating model as a service. And finally store the results in a storage location and do model monitoring with Grafana. And I want to give a shout out to Cookie Cutter. This is very powerful. If you know the set of tools that you're using, you can simply create your own Cookie Cutter, and that can help you maintain very good standard uh, to the repos that you're trying to maintain with these projects.
I'm not familiar with Cookie Cutter. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Cookie Cutter is basically it gives you a template, right? So there is always a base that you need if you're creating a project, right? You want set your README to be a certain format, where you give your introduction and then you say you give the model details where the data is coming in. So that's a structure you can give as a README. At the same time, you can create CI/CD, right? So when you do this cookie cutter format, what happens is it gives you a questionnaire. When you call it, it asks who is the data scientist. You enter your name and then what is the project about. And it'll create you the folder structure for the project you're working on. Since it's like it gives you that standard, right, for every project. Right now we have almost 10-30 projects in our repo, and whenever I go to a project, I easily know where to look. Where is my source code? How is it structured? Because everything is in a uniform template. That really helps me understand what it is. And the other part is with cookie cutter, you can also template the CI/CD workflow. So once I create this with that README that I have, I actually convert that into GitLab pages. So it automatically runs a CI/CD pipeline in the background once I push it to GitLab, right? And I have a GitLab page readily available for my uh, project that I have created. So
Got
it's
it.
very powerful.
Yeah, sounds useful.
Yeah. And this is my last slide that I have, shaping the future. Uh, Agriculture is often downplayed, right, in our field, but it is very important and essential component of our lives. There are many exciting projects that are going on. As I said, with confidentiality reasons, I couldn't share more. So, call of action is get involved, stay curious, and shape the future. Again, use call out to platforms like OpenCV. Open source tools are very powerful, and there are a lot of tools like this that are community driven and then which are helping people like us. And this is not a core tech company, right? We always have limitations on the GPU. the amount of GPU that you can get access to. So that's why I really like Quen model. What they do is they also have very powerful lightweight models that we can fit onto smaller GPUs and still able to work on it. If you don't want to do these API calls.
Yeah, being able to run those Quen models locally, even on pretty limited compute,
Yeah,
is pretty amazing.
with image. Yeah, yeah. And this is pretty much the real world impact that we are making with ag. And collaboration is the most fun part because there are interdisciplinary teams that we work with, and we partner with academia and industries too. So hopefully I have distilled enough knowledge to get you all excited about vision for agriculture and a
Yeah.
small. And then finally, I have a job opening coming up. I haven't
Oh,
posted it
okay.
yet, but it'll be coming up. So if you have expertise in microscopic imaging, hyperspectral imaging, just stay
Right on.
tuned. I'll be posting. And thank you. And I would like to acknowledge, I couldn't name everyone, it will be a big list, but acknowledge everyone at Corteva helping me prepare these slides and the content and the work we do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, big shout out to the team. A lot of knowledge contained in these slides here. I definitely learned something this week on the show. We will do some questions here. First, I think let's go ahead and do our trivia question first, and then we'll do some questions. We got some good engagement, as they say today.
That's
But
great.
if you're just joining us for the first time, or you need a little reminder, one of the things we do on this program is do a trivia question and giveaway to you out there in the audience. So the way it works is that I'm going to ask a question based on the presentation by our illustrious guest, and the first person to answer that question correctly in the chat, wherever you're watching, over on Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, Zoom, wherever, will win the OpenCV University course of their choosing. In fact, we are going to pop open my screen share here, and we're going to talk a little bit about OpenCVU. So, OpenCV University is OpenCV's official online courses program. You may recognize Dr. Satya Malik there in the welcome video. Like everybody else, OpenCV is doing a Black Friday offer. About 5 days from now, you will be able to save big on OpenCV University courses, but if you win today's trivia competition, you will get a free course of your choosing. You can see what courses we have on offer by going to opencv.org/university. We've got stuff like Mastering OpenCV with Python, Fundamentals of Computer Vision IP, Deep Learning with PyTorch, Deep Learning with TensorFlow and Keras, Advanced Vision Applications with Deep Learning and Transformers, Computer Vision and Deep Learning Applications, and Mastering Generative AI for Art. There are also some free courses, such as the VLM Bootcamp, the PyTorch Bootcamp, OpenCV Bootcamp, TensorFlow Bootcamp, and Python for Beginners. These are really short, a few-hour courses in the boot camps. They're not as in-depth as our full courses, which are semester long, which is going to take you some time to get through these. But when you do, you will know what you're talking about. So go check out opencv.org/university, which is the sponsor of today's episode. Now, get ready to answer your trivia question. I'm going to bring up, let's see, I'm going to turn off my screen share, and we're going to bring up an image that has the question on it. So on today's episode, we talked a bit about different methods of capturing photos of some of the agricultural items that need to be worked on. We talked about LiDAR and HSI. What does HSI stand for? The first person to answer in the chat wins the OpenCV University course of their choosing. Spelling matters, and we've got a winner over on Zoom already. Wow, you guys were quick on that one. Micolage, unfortunately, a little bit of a typo in there, spelled hyper with an I instead of a Y. I can't give that one to you. I apologize for getting your hopes up there. It looks like so the answer we were looking for there was hyperspectral imaging. It's a lot has happened, I feel, with hyperspectral in the last couple of years, and so it was exciting to talk about it a bit here with Agriscience. It looks like our winner was Amit Agarwal on Zoom. The answer was hyperspectral imaging. Amit, please go ahead and send one email to phil@opencv.org. That's PHIL at opencv.org. And we will make sure that you get the course that you want. Go check out the courses that are available on opencv.org/university. And yeah, we'll make sure that you get the one you want. Okay. I'm going to bring you back. Hey, welcome back. We've got a bunch of great questions here. Apparently, also Eduardo over on YouTube says the topic of their thesis was hyperspectral imaging. So we hope we were successful, Eduardo, or will be successful in the future. So we've got a few questions here. I'm going to go ahead and bring these up. Also on our trivia, we have, wow, this is very kind of you. Amit, our winner here, says they won a few weeks ago, and so they would like to give their, they said go to the next person. It looks like the person who answered after Amit was Zach Swanson. So Zach Swanson over on Zoom, please send an email to me, phil@opencv.org, with the name of the course that you would like. Congrats, Zach. And thank you, Amit. I appreciate you. So we've got questions from you guys, and we've got answers from our guest, hopefully. So let me go ahead and grab one of these here. Zach asks on Zoom, how much of this work are you developing in-house versus using third-party partners or open source tools? I know you talked about that a lot toward the end of the slides, but can you maybe zone in on that a little bit?
Yeah, these are the one that I have covered is pretty much the work that we are doing internally. We have teams and technical capabilities that we could work internally. There are actually some third partners too, where you purchase equipments, right? Especially from lab-based, if you purchase an equipment, they come with pre-programmed software solutions, right? Where you detect and do some stuff, but there is some limitation where you can't really adapt it to other experiments. So once an equipment is purchased for one lab, there might be people from other labs who are interested to use that equipment, and whatever the software that's there might not be working exactly the way it's expected to be working. So what we do is that's when we take in the data and then build models. There are automation engineers who tend to build traditional image-based models. And data science, we are more on computer visions using advanced AI, right? So we focus more on training models, supervised, unsupervised.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that. That makes sense. I mean, and generally, it's the best thing to do is use as much of the free stuff as you can. It's it's there. That's why it's open source, much like OpenCV itself. We've also got from Zoom, Tiana would like to know, can you talk a little bit about how you perform validation on these models before deploying them into the field? And talk a little bit about maybe how long it takes when you're that kind of in-between phase of you've done a lot of the development work and you've got your simulators and things, and now it's time to go put it in the field. What's the time delta like between that?
That's a fun part here is being an academic, right? Whenever you create some model, you get a data set, and then you split it into train, test, and then the train and test distributions are pretty close to each other because it's the same data set. The part of being real world, right? Once the model is in production, you get data continuously. So validation is very important for us. Once we train the model, we do still split the data into train and test, but we make sure the test is like golden test set, which is very diverse which can capture very diverse scenarios. And we have validation reviews that are conducted. So what happens is it's uh, kind of an alpha phase of deployment, right? So once the model is there, we run these production images through this model and then keep testing them uh, over time. And this kind of changes project to project, but we still do that validation review. And once the stakeholders are confident that this model is a pass, that's when it is officially in production and they use it and they keep using it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for that. I believe that answered the question well. I got a couple more questions here. William would like to know, can I get the slides for your presentation, please? I'm not sure.
Uh,
Can they?
I'll let you know.
Okay,
Maybe I should check with my team and then
definitely.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
if
make sure
possible, and
that's.
I'll share it. So where do you want me to share if it's
Just go
shareable?
ahead and send them to me. We'll find somewhere to put them online and make sure people can
Okay,
access those if it's allowed.
sounds good. Yeah, thank you.
I've got another one here from Mohammed Salman. Where do you see the agentic AI in your development as opposed to a consolidated model for general intelligence? Are y'all experimenting with agents?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We haven't started working on agentic AI. Again, there are some limitations with agentic AI, right? It can go. We don't know how secure are these products, and once you give access to completely the like an agent, it can do a lot of clicks and then it can leak the data too. So there is always that scare. Uh, that being said, I think future is heading towards it. When I say we are building these UI models, right? We do POCs. As we develop models, we build POC models. At the same time, we have software engineers who take up and build the front end of like limb systems uh, and more sophisticated systems that are there. Definitely, agentic AI could be used there because there is a lot of clicking that's going on and making sure uh, we go through all of these steps. Having an agent there and doing its own clicks, uh, and instead of we doing the clicks, we just prompt it, right? What tasks need to be done, and then the agent would take the screen and then do it from there. I definitely see the future going heading towards it, but before that, we should be careful of how safe it is to do that, especially when there is a lot of confidentiality uh, and again, the data is a differentiator, right? You can't leak your data.
Yeah, or even just, I mean, even just simple things like, uh, passwords and things like this. If the
Yeah,
agent has access to confidential info that isn't
you
even
you need to
code.
give access, right?
Yeah,
If the agents need to be
yeah,
operated, you need to give access to your personal credentials should be given to it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, very powerful, but also like with great power comes great responsibility,
exactly.
as Uncle
Yes.
Ben said. Um, yeah, I think we got time for, let's do at least one more question here. I see from Queerty 19221 over on YouTube. Is there a success story you can share that can provide how challenges were addressed during validation, i.e., ground truthing, either at the plant level or the farm level? You talk a little bit about some problems faced and overcome in these projects, maybe.
I don't know how much I can share. Maybe I'll keep it very
Yeah,
generic.
yeah. Obviously, nothing that'll get you in trouble. But yeah, if you've got any,
Uh, I don't know if it's success, but some of the challenges that we faced is especially with cell painting, right? Where uh, the data is pretty huge. Whenever you deal with microscopic images, you are dealing with gigabytes of data, and it's not just gigabytes; it's terabytes of data, almost like 500 terabyte. And you want that data to be annotated somehow. And since this is for regulatory purposes, uh, you know, there is information of in vivo and in vitro. So uh, we I mean, publicly we get data on in vitro cells, and then and we use those ground truths for in vivo, and then they don't really match well for the modeling. Then there are some limitations. Uh, I mean, looking at the toxicity on an animal versus at a cell level, both are different leagues, and trying to use them as ground rules kind of makes it very difficult to identify, say, the toxicity that I'm talking about. So there are definitely challenges, and that's when the validation comes in, right? The problem here is when your data, the ground truth itself, is not confident, you're not confident enough, and the model that comes out of it will be subpar. But validation, we could do it is because within Corteva, we have these products and we know what are the exact ground truths, and we could actually test this model against that uh, Corteva generated molecules. So it could be validated very stringently, but again, with a model that was trained on the public data set with in vivo in vitro, that's still a problem. There is a gap that needs to be filled in. But that's one of the projects I would choose to describe. So this is again cellular level I spoke about, not plant level or farm level.
Yeah, understood. Um, yeah, any final thoughts for the audience out there, Sudhir? Thanks so much for joining us this week. This was a lot of fun. I always enjoy the agriculture tech episodes. We've had, like, our friend Paula Ramos has been on here a few times talking about you know, various various methods of using AI and CV to improve crop yields and things like that in the past. And so it's good to continue that tradition. Any final thoughts for the audience?
No, I think this is, thanks for the opportunity. First of all, it's, and I hope that I have given enough awareness for the audience, that importance of the agriculture, and then how much can we do with computer vision and uh, advanced ag with AI that we have right now and in the
Yeah.
future too. Yep.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Everybody, great feedback in the chat. See, they say thank you, very informative talk. Thank you, very useful talk. Lots of those in the chat. So we do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
Thank you very much.
yeah, and we appreciate you out there watching. You are the reason we do this show. Without you, we just wouldn't do it. And so thanks for joining us this Thursday morning, and every Thursday morning. We've got another episode coming up next week. Alexandra Roberts should be joining us to talk about artificial intelligence in the context of quantitative medical imaging. We had to reschedule this episode from a couple of weeks ago, and so hopefully Alexandra will be able to join us this week. Really looking forward to that one as well. We're doing some more, some kind of hard industry science stuff this November, and I really enjoy those episodes, and I hope you enjoy them too. Take care of yourselves out there, folks. Take care of somebody else if you can, and have a great day wherever you may be. Adios.